Now, obviously, artificial intelligence is no stranger in the field of financial services. It's the expectation that machines will be able to make decisions based on the data and information that is presented to them in the way that humans do. Now, I have a colleague who always argues that true artificial intelligence doesn't exist because machines are not ever or at the point where they can make subjective decisions based on what information you present them. But the reality is that there are applications of artificial intelligence in financial services already, right? If you look at the consumer finance space, there's already the presence of chatbots that are powered by natural language processing that are able to give customers the established digital communications with customers, right? Earlier on, we heard a note, and it's also a quote from Accenture, where they said, we've gotten to the point where we've gotten very good at delivering virtual or digital experiences that are functionally correct, but emotionally devoid. So even though you do have chatbots that are available that are able to engage a person to solve their issue or to respond to queries, there is that lack of the human touch, which is what the aim of things like AI, or that's where the goal is. It's already used in wealth management to generate personalized or tailored insights. It's used in corporate finance to combat and detect fraud, to analyze trends that would hitherto go unnoticed by the human eye, right? But one of the more interesting applications of AI in finance is what is now being called digital twins. Show of hands, anyone who has heard of digital twins? Oh, nice. That's great. So the concept of digital twins is beginning to become possible because in the world where most companies are reimagining themselves for a digital-first customer experience, where the evolution of technology is making a lot of things that were previously seen as impossible possible, the potential, the possibility to have what is called a digital twin is now live more than ever. Right? So a digital twin, essentially, by definition, is a digital replica of a physical product, process, or service. So you take something from the real world and you replicate it digitally. But one iteration of digital twins that is very interesting is the concept of digital humans or digital colleagues. Now, the digital twins essentially are to enable you to simulate a product or process or service so that you're able to identify risks, foresee opportunities of growth, or even prevent disasters that could have happened in testing. Now, the digital human is supposed to be that overlap where you're now able to have the digital experience, but also have the human touch. And so digital humans are essentially human-like AI-powered characters designed to be interacted with by people. It's supposed to be the successor to the chatbot, an upgrade to the chatbot. I think it's easier to demo or show you what a digital twin, a digital human or digital colleague is, rather than trying to explain it to you. So take a look at this video.
Hi, my name is Fred. No, I'm not a real person. I am the new digital human from Render People. I am a virtual 360-degree copy of my real self. Therefore, I'm able to talk, to smile, to laugh, or to cry. Just like a real human being. So the possibilities are endless. I could be a speaker moderating your next digital event. I could be your virtual assistant for your online shop. This outfit suits you. Shall I add it to your cart? Or I could tell you the status of your car inspection, keeping you updated. Fully digital and all without you having to be on site. And this is only the beginning. The only limit is your creativity.
What do you guys think? Scary? Interesting? Exciting? Hands up for interesting. Hands up for ridiculous. I think the only limit is your imagination, as he said, right? But these are the kind of things that are in the pipeline that people are envisioning is going to be the future of how we engage and interact with people, right? They assume that the younger generation is going to be used to these kind of engagements or expect it because they're getting it in the area of games and that are fully immersive. So what do you do now, assuming this is going to be the future? Well, we have a few points from the AI transformation playbook, right? So where you start from is you start to execute some pilot projects, right? You know your business more than anyone else. You know exactly the aspects of your business where if you run tests that actually brought value would gain you the kind of buy-in that you need. Building an in-house AI team. So initially, you do want to outsource to external AI experts who have more experience in the field. But in the long run, if you want to be more efficient, you would have to have your own in-house AI team so you can protect your IP and you can execute on those small projects. You need to provide broad AI training because no company has enough AI talent. It's scarce. So the best you can do is, with the technology that's available, massive open online courses, you can upskill your existing staff to get to the point where they do appreciate what the future holds and they do understand what the potential benefits are. You develop an AI strategy because obviously you need you need to make sure that the initiatives are in line with what the organization's goals are. You can't just go off in any direction just because AI is the next big thing. And in line with that, you need to be able to communicate this and over-communicate this to the point where you get senior leadership buy-in, you get the understanding of everyone else. Okay, so obviously it's going to be difficult to lead or to be in an AI-first world or to try and establish your company as an AI-first institution. And this quote says it all, right? It usually is going to be, as they say, very difficult in the beginning, messy in the middle, but if you're able to figure this out, or at least you're able to project outward to what the possible future can be, work backwards to where you are, and try to do your best to fill in the gaps, it gets much better. Now let's get to the metaverse. Now the metaverse is a very interesting concept. I really like this particular topic, and it was made popular most recently by Meta, formerly Facebook. But the actual term metaverse has been in existence since 1992. There was an author, Neil Stephenson, who coined the term in his book called Snow Crash. But I doubt that Neil, in his book, expected that by 2022, this would become such a buzzword. So the metaverse is essentially supposed to be the future of the internet. So there are those who still feel that the metaverse is a naive joke, basically. It's never going to materialize. But there are some that also believe that via the metaverse, the internet is on the cusp of an evolutionary leap. So you have big players like Microsoft, Facebook, Tencent, all making big bets on the metaverse. But just so that we're on the same page, let's try and understand what exactly the metaverse is. So the acronym XR stands for extended reality, and it's made up of virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality. So starting from the middle one, augmented reality, right? So I think most of us were introduced to the concept of augmented reality somewhere in 2015, 2016 with the Pokemon Go application, right? So you would see a bunch of kids running around with their phones out. You ask them, hey, what's going on? And they tell you, we're looking for Pokemon. And that's one of the best examples of the application of the technology. Another would be the IKEA Place app or virtual place app, right? Where you could have a virtual model of their furniture that you could overlay into your space just to make sure that the furniture matches the carpet, matches the drape before you make the purchase. And that was another application of that particular technology, right? And so augmented reality essentially gives you a view of the physical world and then overlays that with digital elements. Then you have virtual reality, which is a fully immersive digital environment. So you see the headsets, the VR headset that are popular now, so the Oculus, the PlayStation VR, there's HTC Vive. But they basically take away the physical element and you go into a fully digital world where there's digital elements and you're basically in an alternate reality, basically. And then there's the element of mixed reality which joined the pack. Now this tries to give you the best of both worlds, and mixed reality was actually coined by Microsoft. I think they felt that they were getting left out, and they came up with their device, the HoloLens 2, or the HoloLens 1, now the HoloLens 2, which tries to give you, the device itself has a glass that covers the screen that allows you to see the physical world and overlays that with 3D holograms. Right? Now the difficulty of explaining what virtual reality, mixed reality, augmented reality is quite difficult. So it's easier to show you, right? So if you look at the seats in front of you, you'll find that there's headsets. I'm just kidding. I saw this guy do it today, and I wanted to do the same thing. It didn't work. But I do have a video that actually shows the concept that I'm talking about. So this is the Microsoft HoloLens 2. It essentially is supposed to be the functional version of what has been used for gaming so far. So this is supposed to be for industry utilization. So right now it's being sold to the tech people in engineering. What it does is it gives you a view of the physical world because of the glass, but then it is also matched with the Microsoft Mesh, which is the software, which allows you to be able to overlay that with holograms so that you can actually see what's happening. And then it has spatial awareness. I actually sat on a flight with someone who had a similar device on their head, and I asked them what they were doing, and they said they're able to pull up the 3 screens that they use from work and engage with it. Because it has spatial awareness, it's able to detect hand movement, right? But right now, it's super expensive, and it's only given to a select few. But eventually, with its iteration, it gets better and better. Moving on from that, you have the fully immersive type of VR experience where you are actually in an entirely digital world. So this is basically what we have in gaming now. So you go in, you're basically hiding behind an avatar, and it's fully immersive. The best bet that you can have from this is to have a picture of your physical world, such as this, but it's not really the physical world. It's a replica of the physical world in a digital environment, right? So Accenture defines the metaverse across different environments, quite simply, right? So first and foremost, it's a place, right? It's a destination, no different from someplace downtown New York, someplace in Shanghai, Las Vegas. It's a place that people go, a location, a destination. It's a population, so people are actually going there to meet and interact, such as you have here, as opposed to being forced to interact over a 2-dimensional static screen, right? And if you take that to the next logical level, just in the way we can own property and assets, you can own property and assets in the digital world, or in the metaverse, sorry. You can own land that is boasted by NFTs. You can buy digital versions of physical objects. And that is what leads to what the opportunity for financial services are. So in an actual world where or in a virtual world where people can actually own assets and property, it now becomes a question of who is going to be that player that is going to facilitate transactions in an entirely digital or virtual world. Who is going to be that custodian of virtual assets, where there's no longer fiat currency, but people are holding cryptocurrencies, they're holding NFTs, they're holding central bank digital currencies. Who is going to be that leader in that space? I frankly believe that it's going to be a joint effort, and there's not going to be any one bank, because it's going to be a game of collaboration. But we begin to see increasingly that other banks or other institutions are dipping their toes there into that space. So in South Korea, we have banks that are launching metaverses so that customers are able to access personalized financial institutions. In France, they've launched a virtual reality app that enables retail bankers to access their account activity. And even Bank of America is leveraging some of these metaverse platforms for training. If you go all the way to India, you're beginning to see that there are institutions that are trying to be enablers of the metaverse. So they allow banks to onboard or create their metaverses, and then they sort of collaborate or facilitate all of those technologies. And then in South Korea, you're beginning to see something that is actually quite popular in Africa, where there's collaborations between mobile network operators and banks to develop new technologies that are touted to be the future of financial services. So the opportunity is there for most people in the metaverse, right? So about 20 years ago, we started with online banking. About 10 years ago, we got into mobile banking. The metaverse is expected to be a continuation of that, right? Trying to create experiences that offer the customer value. And not only is it being used to enable online and mobile banking, it's also being leveraged for staff training, right? So you want to onboard a new staff, rather than giving them a 100-page PDF document, you actually give them a metaverse experience that allows them to see the history of the company in a fully immersive way, so that it's less boring and that people learn faster, right? It's an opportunity for people to engage. As we've said, the experiences we've created are devoid of that human touch. They're functionally correct. And the metaverse is trying to maintain the digital experience, but add in as much of that human element as much as possible. And it gives you the opportunity to reinvent reinvent the customer or the financial service experience or the banking experience around this new customer that is more virtually inclined. And in that sense, you're able to reimagine financial services for people who, as we've said, are no longer interested in the physical engagement, but are now looking to engage on a more virtual level. They now have virtual assets, virtual currencies. They're governed by central bank digital currencies and the like. So the important thing for financial institutions to do is to form a metaverse strategy, because obviously there's no point in just being there. You actually have to have a purpose, project outward to where you think your consumer is going to be, and work backwards to where you are. Just being there for the sake of being there doesn't make any sense. Now let's move on to the final aspect, which is the workforce of the future. Now, in a world where the customer is beginning to become increasingly impatient, they want more immediacy, a lot of institutions are trying to reimagine themselves for that kind of world. Now, not only would you require there to be new technology, there's also going to be new skills. So we're going to just take a look at what the workforce of the future looks like. Now, there is a concept that was put out by JLL of what the future workforce would be like. So it's not just about these skills that are available, but essentially how work is going to be done in a world that is powered by AI, machine learning, all of these technologies, Web 3.0, Metaverse, digital